Shall we talk about massive personal loans for poor credit with 100% approval? In today's conversation, I want to do a compare and contrast between Rocket Loans, Lending Points, and PenFed. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of the Awesome Sweetie Kiwi Show. How are you today? I hope you're all doing fantastic. I'm doing marvelous, if you are to ask me. If you are doing as great as I am, go grab a cup of coffee, or tea, or vodka, and let's roll. In today's convo, I want to talk about huge, gigantic, massive personal loans for personal credit with 100% approval, fast approval. And there are three players that we want to compare and contrast in today's show. We are going to compare Rocket Loans to Lending Points to PenFed. Of course, the Pentagon Federal Credit Union, right? That's PenFed. But before we actually get into the nitty gritty, what do we mean by massive? Massive means up to $100,000. Yes. There are institutions in this country that will lend to bad credit and fair credit borrowers up to $100,000. You just have to know them. And when I talk about bad credit loans, what are those? Now, bad credit just means that you have you have a credit score that is below 579. So poor credit will be from 300 to 579, and fair credit will be from 580 to 669. All right, that's just the mechanics of it. And what really makes up a bad credit score? So if you happen to have a FICO score below 579 or below 669 for fair credit borrowers, you have to understand that there are 5 elements that make up a bad credit score or a fair credit score. You have your payment history that accounts for 35%, the amount owed 30%, the length of credit history 15%, new credit 10%, and credit mix 10%. This is important because when you are thinking about whether you should apply a Rocket Loans, Lending Point, or PenFed, you better have a clear idea of what makes up a bad credit score. And because you also want to check your credit history by going to a website called annualcredit.com to check your credit history to make sure everything out there, everything on your report is accurate. Because the last thing you want is to be penalized. You want to be penalized unfairly by the derogatory items that you have no connection with, things that are wrong on your credit report that are penalizing you and you don't even know about them. So you need to know this. Now, you can get a bad credit loan, but please first check your credit score. Go to that website right now. Annual credit report is free. You want to ensure also that you can repay the loan. So simply because the loan is massive doesn't mean you have to borrow the whole bank, right? No, borrow what you can afford. You want to compare bad credit personal loans. That's what we're going to do today. We're going to compare and contrast Rocket Loans, Lending Point, and Pentagon Federal. You want to look into secure loans if possible. You want to add a co-signer if necessary. You want to gather your financial documents. And you also need to make sure that you are prepared for a hard credit check, because even if you get pre-qualified, before they actually advance the funds to you, they're going to do a hard pull. Speaking of hard pull is only one criterion when it comes to evaluating a bad credit or fair credit loan. There is no single best loan company for everyone. The best bad credit or fair credit loan company for you depends on a few factors. First, eligibility requirements. Then you have interest rates and fees. Okay. Then you have repayment terms. And then you have the type of lender. Let me repeat that. Eligibility requirements. So some lenders have different requirements. If you go to a credit union, you might not have the same requirements than if you went to, let's say, a traditional bank. Same thing for if you go to an online lender or an alternative lender or a payday lender. What about interest rate and fees? Those are important also. So those constitute overall in aggregate what we call the APR. See, APR is not equal to interest rate, even though interest rate is part of APR. So to calculate your annual percentage rate, you have to take into account various factors, including origination fees, prepayment fees, closing fees, all those kind of fees and fees and fees and fees and fees. All right. Think about the repayment terms. What is the loan maturity? Is it 1 year? Is it 6 months? Is it 12 months? Is it 24 months? 36 months? This will have an impact on your budget. And also think about the type of lender you want to work with. As I said earlier, the requirements are different when they come from banks, credit unions, or online lenders. And we're showing you right now on the screen here, you can see, we're showing you the personal loan interest rates by credit score based on our analysis. You can see the delta in terms of interest rates when you move from a good to fair in terms of credit and all the way to bad. You can see the delta, the variance here. Before we get into the actual review here, please check out our loans evaluation video. We have a strong methodology on this show when it comes to analyzing, reviewing, and categorizing loans, such as loans that are provided by Rocket Loans, LendingPoint, and PenFed. Check out this video. Okay, so you're interested in getting a massive personal loan for poor credit from Rocket Loans. Let's get into it. When you think about Rocket Loans, you want to think about a lender that offers a wide constellation of loans to borrowers with fair credit, with bad credit also. This is a lender that's very, very flexible. They're flexible not only in terms of your credit score requirements, but also on how you can use the funds. And they do have competitive interest rates. And they actually they can offer unsecured personal loans up to $35,000. Okay, so this is a great. Rocket Loans is great for borrowers with fair credit, and they've been in the last few years they've been working also with people with poor credit. And you can use the funds for almost any purpose. There is no restrictions, okay? And they are actually bad for joint applications. And if you are a fee-conscious borrower, if you care about the little extra dollar that you have to pay every month, then you want to try PenFed or LendingPoint, okay? And one thing I want to say here is that their APRs are a little expensive. They oscillate between 7% all the way to 30%. So 7 to 30%, that's the delta you're looking at. And we also want to say that their minimum personal loans is $2,000, so $2,000 to $35,000. One thing that's very important to remember: if you have poor credit and you want to get a loan through Rocket Loans, please be ready. Do your homework. Have your financial paperwork ready. You want to do the research beforehand. The cool thing here is that they are available in all 50 states. You have to be 18 years old or older, actually. But if you live in Nebraska and Alabama, you got to be 19 years old. Okay, and there are additional fees for late or return payments. That's something you need to know. And in comparison to similar lenders, Rocket Loans has more fees and higher cost. So again, that's what I said earlier. If you are a fee-conscious borrower, you want to pay attention to another lender, because Rocket Loans, even though they are generous in terms of their credit score requirements, they are a little expensive. Speaking of expensive, let's look at the eligibility criteria. So if you want to get a massive loan for poor credit with instant approval at Rocket Loans, you need to be a U.S. citizen or permanent resident. You need to be at least 18 years old or 19 years in Alabama or Nebraska. And you have to look at all the fees and make sure you understand the fees. There are three types of fees that we were able to uncover during our research. You have origination fee that fluctuates between 1% and 6%. Then you have late payment fees of $15. And you have NSF, non-sufficient funds, return payment fee of $15. Okay, and the loan amount range, I've said it before, $2,000 to $35,000. There is a check processing fee of $5. and there's no prepayment penalty. So you can see that all those fees, they constantly add up, right? So for the check processing fee, they just don't want you to use a check. So if you make all the electronic payments, you're fine. And the loan terms 3 to 5 years, and the repayment options monthly. Okay. And one thing you have to understand is that with Rocket loans, there is no direct payment to creditors. Okay, something you need to be aware of. Now, of course, you are going to get a soft credit check to check the rates, and you are getting a hard credit check when you apply. So at the onset of the transaction, you're not going to get any kind of hard pull. But as you go along, as you proceed to finally getting the loan, of course, Rocket Loan just wants to make sure that you are legit, and then because a hard pull is not just to check your credit; it's also a means to identify you as a borrower, and this is because of federal regulations. So my point here is that make sure that you understand the eligibility criteria. Make sure that you have your financials, so your tax returns. If you have a side gig, make sure you have the business's tax returns. Make sure you have, if you can prepare in Excel, your financial statements, your income statement, your balance sheet, and your statement of cash flow. That will be fantastic, because then you're able to show to Rocket Loans that you indeed have the capability to repay your loan. All right. So anything that can corroborate, anything that can confirm that you are in a position to repay the loan, just include it. Just attach it to the application form and just mail it or fax it or email it to Rocket Loans. I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another session of the Awesome Studio Kiwi Show. We're also having a conversation today about, we are comparing actually LendingPoint, Rocket Loans, and PenFed. And we've just talked about Rocket Loans. Now I want to talk to you about LendingPoint. LendingPoint is wonderful for bad credit or fair credit applicants also. And so if you have a credit score that ranges from 530 to 680, you are lucky with LendingPoint. And the cool thing here is that this is a company that's been around for a while. They do cater to a wide constellation of borrowers, okay? But it's not good if you live in West Virginia. Right now, they don't cover that state for other reasons that we're not going to go in details here. But if you are a borrower with good to excellent credit, don't go to LendingPoint. Do not. They will just kill you with their APR. It's crazy. You have better options out there, from Discover personal loans to Marcus by Goldman to loans from credit unions that will charge you even less. Don't go to LendingPoint. But if you are a bad credit or fair credit borrower, then yes, LendingPoint might be the right place for you. The thing that we have seen in our research is that LendingPoint itself builds the company as a personal loan option for individuals with fair credit. All right. So they're basically looking for, and they approve applicants who have FICO credit scores between 530 and 680. So it's not just fair credit, really. If you think about it, it's also bad credit. So 530 and 680. And one thing I also want to say here is that the loan amount you're looking at from 10,000 all the way to 25,000. In some cases, we've seen people approved with $50,000. It all depends on your application. APR starts at 5 or 6%, and they can go all the way to 29.99%, depending on your credit worthiness, depending on the solidity of your loan application. Okay, and we love the fact that LendingPoint gives you some kind of flexibility in repaying your loan. You can make a request to change your payment due date temporarily by emailing the company's customer service team at least 5 business days before the payment is due. That's really good. You can also permanently change the due date by signing a loan modification agreement. That's wonderful. If you opt to use AutoPay, the company will take a look at your monthly budget and cash flow from the connected bank account to pick a payment date that works best for you. And the company offers a twice monthly repayment schedule, which is really unusual among personal loan providers, but in addition to the standard monthly repayment schedule. Let's talk about the eligibility criteria. So if you want to get a personal loan for bad credit, a massive personal loan for bad credit at LendingPoint, there are a few what we call minimum criteria that you need to meet. You got to be at least 18 years old. You must have government issued photo ID and a valid social security number. Okay. You need to have a verifiable personal bank account. You need to have at least $25,000 in annual income. So that is about $2,100 or $2,200 in monthly income, right? And you got to have a credit score of 530 or higher. So this is important to have in mind. And one thing I want to say here, of course, I've said it before, the loan amounts range from $2,000 to $25,000. The APR ranges from between 5 to 35%. And in some cases, we've seen between 9.99% all the way to 35.99%. Again, it all depends upon the applicants. And so the fees. Now, what are the fees here? When you decide to borrow from a LendingPoint, you have an origination fee that fluctuates between 0 and 6%, right? There's no late payment fee. There's no NSF return payment fee. There's no check processing fee, and there's no prepayment penalty. And you know, if you really compare this to a record loans, you'll see already that LendingPoint is way cheaper than record loans, right? The loan terms 2 to 5 years, and repayment options can be either monthly or twice monthly. Totally depends on you. So one thing I want to say in general here is that you can apply for a loan with a LendingPoint online or by phone. You don't have to. If you don't have a computer, it's fine. You can really do it. Now, the first step in the application process is to check if you qualify for a loan offer, because they do have a pre-qualification system in place, which is really good because it allows you to test the waters without risking a hard pull to see if you like what you see. And if you do, then you can proceed, and that's when they are going to do at some point a real pull, a hard pull. Okay, and when you apply online or over the phone, make sure you have a clear idea of the loan amount and purpose. Your name, of course, your name you can't forget it. So your name, your phone number, your personal annual income, and the last 4 digits of your social security number. Okay, and at that point, once you provide all this, they'll do a soft credit inquiry, and then later on, if you agree with whatever they're offering you, then they'll go ahead and do a hard credit check when you apply. I want to talk to you now, folks, about Pentagon Federal, PenFed. When you talk about credit unions in general, you have a more positive environment when it comes to interest rates. For example, with Pentagon Federal, you have rate caps and flexible terms. Obviously, you got to be a member of PenFed, which is very easy. You don't have to be associated with the military. We have covered this on another show. You don't have to have a military affiliation. There are other ways to qualify for membership. You can donate $5 or $10 to an organization sponsored by the PenFed company, the PenFed institution, or you can sponsor nonprofits that have military affiliations. So it's important. What are the pros and cons here? The pros: a co-borrower with strong credit can reduce your interest rate. The company offers debt protection insurance, and there is no maintenance fee and flexible terms for personal lines of credit. Okay, those are the pros. So for the pros, you have no maintenance fee, and you also have flexible terms for personal lines of credit. What about the cons? The loan package is sent to you by mail, so funding may take longer. Yeah, I mean, PenFed, they need to modernize their operations. I mean, they've still been operating like companies used to do things back 20 years ago. So PenFed, if you're listening, please modernize your whole work stream here. Another drawback is that the application is restricted to PenFed members. But again, this is not a biggie really when you think about it, because as I said a few minutes ago, you can actually qualify for membership very easily by going online and choosing an affiliated company, and you can just maybe donate $5 to that organization, to that nonprofit, and voila, you're part of PenFed. And remember that the loans are capped at 25,000. So with the PenFed, you can't go higher. Okay, so when we speak about massive loans, the only player that can go a little higher here is LendingPoint, and maybe Rocket Loans. Like they put on their website 35,000 and 20,000. I think 35,000 for Rocket Loans, and for LendingPoint, I think the amount was 25,000. But in actuality, in reality, they're able to go all the way to $100,000 if you have the right application. That's not the case for PenFed. PenFed, no matter how beautiful your business plan is, no matter how beautiful and detailed your tax returns are, they're not going to go above 25,000 when it comes to a personal loan for bad credit. That's just the way they operate. Okay, and what else do I have to say here? Oh yeah. So what are the eligibility criteria? So to qualify for a personal loan from PenFed, of course you gotta be a Pentagon Federal Credit Union member, right? So that's definitely true. And you gotta have a credit score in the mid 500s or higher. Okay, and so but it's really worth it. It's worth it to join PenFed to be able to access all this nice list of perks. All right, and in addition to personal loans, PenFed also offers other financial products, if you will. They offer personal lines of credit, business lines of credit, business loans. They also offer bill consolidation loans. Okay, so and all those are unsecured. So this is pretty cool. And the amount is high too, which is why we say it's massive, because it's from 500 to 25,000, but it could go all the way to 50 if you have the right loan application. That's not true for a loan for poor credit. But if you are talking about a personal loan for good credit or fair credit, they might go up in terms of the underwriting amount in some cases, right? And one thing I also want to say here is that let's talk about the rates. So the loan amount starts, the APR starts at 6.49%. Pretty good to know. And so there is no origination fee. There's a late payment fee of 20% of the monthly past due. There's an NSF return payment fee of $30. There is a no check processing fee, no prepayment penalty. You have a check stop payment fee of $15. You have a phone payment $5 from external institutions. Okay, and the loan terms 6 months to 5 years. This is pretty generous. The term is pretty lengthy. That's good. And repayment, you have to repay the company, the credit union, every month. So this is something to keep in mind. And I just want to say in general that PenFed is a solid institution, a solid financial institution. They actually do a lot of stuff. They actually provide a lot of financial products, not just personal loans. They offer business loans. They offer mortgages. They offer a lot of services, a lot of products. So they're worth checking out. All right, folks. Let's now talk about the recap here. Which one should you choose? So I've spoken to you about PenFed. I've spoken to you about Rocket Loans, and I've spoken to you about LendingPoint. In terms of choosing the massive personal loan for bad credit that works for you, there are a couple of things you need to pay attention to, right? As I said earlier, you got to pay attention to your personal situation. You got to pay attention to whether or not the lender is going to help you improve your credit score. In other words, does the lender have on its platform a wide array of credit building tools or personal finance tools that will help you down the road? You want to pay attention to your own credit score and see whether or not it fits into the minimum requirements of the lender. You want to pay attention to whether or not the lender has whether you have a relationship already with the lender in terms of banking. So if we take the example of PenFed, the Pentagon Federal Credit Union, maybe you already are a member. You probably already have a checking account or a savings account with them. So it might make sense to actually try to borrow from them, right? And you also want to pay attention to the loan repayment terms. You want to pay attention to the APR and the constellation of fees that, sometimes can be so lengthy that it's just a killer. So you want to pay attention to all this kind of stuff. As I said, Rocket loans is good for borrowers with fair or good credit, and you can use funds for almost any purpose. But it's bad for joint applications and for fee-conscious borrowers. That's for Rocket loans. What about LendingPoint? So LendingPoint is great for borrowers with credit scores between 500 and 680. But it's not really that good for borrowers with good to excellent credit or borrowers in West Virginia, the state of West Virginia. What about PenFed? Now, PenFed is easier to get approved for. They can even help you reduce your interest rates by allowing you to apply with a co-borrower who hopefully has a stronger credit score. And PenFed offers debt protection insurance. This is really good. And there is no maintenance fee and flexible terms for personal lines of credit. All right, folks. This is it for today's conversation. I was talking to you about massive loans for poor credit, 100% approval, Rocket loans versus LendingPoint versus Pentagon Federal. Our choice today, our pick is LendingPoint. Our score 9.5 over 10. Then we have Rocket loans 9 over 10, and then we have a PenFed 8.5 over 10. Thank you so much for your attention, folks. I'll see you next time. But until then, remember, stay marvelous.